Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class, 22nd of April, 2023. The title entitled discussion is the Book of Jubilees. I'll be dealing with some different points on the Bethel, which is, the portal that Jacob laid his head down and saw the angels on the ladder. And we're going to expound on that. Okay, I'm asking everybody to go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. There's a lot of information given. And the videos will connect dots for you and lead you into the truth. If you like what you're hearing and receiving through these videos, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, evening Shabbat prayer, Psalms. We do some current events, a little need to know information. And I open it up for some questions and comments. Then we'll go into the topic, the Book of Jubilees. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and Yahweh, our Redeemer, and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and your wisdom. And we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers. And you, oh Lord, have directed us to who we are in your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. And we come at the end of the Sabbath day, doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. Oh Lord, you spoke through your prophet Isaiah and said that you would help Abraham's seed, that you have scattered, that you have brought that to pass, oh Lord, as of this day. And you said, oh Lord, that you would remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, oh Lord, for the latter days are here, and we are waiting and watching for you. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to read the Psalms right quick. Okay. Right. Okay, I'm going to read the steadfast love of God. It's a Psalm of David, right? The transgressions of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of God before his eyes. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He hath left off to be wise and to be good. He devised mischief upon his bed. He set up himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. Thy mercy, O Lord, is in the heavens, and thy faithfulness reacheth unto the clouds. Thy righteousness is like the great mountains. Thy judgments are a great deep. O Lord, thou preservest man and beast. How excellent is thy loving kindness, O God. Therefore the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. They shall be abundantly satisfied with the fatness of thy house, and thou shalt make them drink of the river of pleasure. For with thee is the fountain of life. In thy light shall we see light. O continue thy loving kindness unto them that know thee, and thy righteousness to the upright in heart. And let not the foot of pride come against me, and let not the hand of the wicked remove me. They are the workers of iniquity, fallen. They are cast down and shall not be able to rise. Okay, that was Psalms 36. It's the steadfast love of God. And this is Psalm of David. Okay, and so the thing I want to shine a light on is verse 7. I'm showing you over and over again that who the Lord of hosts is. It's our Redeemer it's an angel, right? And it says, verse 7. And like I said, if you don't know these things, you're gonna read over it. Verse 7 says, Psalms 36:7. How excellent, how excellent is thy loving kindness, O God. Therefore, the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. So you assume that it's some kind of metaphor assembly, but I'm showing you otherwise. So he says, let me read it again. How excellent is thy loving kindness, O God. Therefore, the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. Right? And then it says, okay, let me get this. And the other verse is, I told you that it's two trees in the Garden of Eden, right? One is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's self-explanatory. That's the Lord of hosts. I mean, that's Samuel, Satan. So who was the tree of life? I showed you it's the Lord of hosts. And we see it right here. He says, verse 8, they shall be abundantly satisfied with the fatness of thy house. That's the temples in Jerusalem. And thou shalt make them drink of the rivers of pleasure. For with thee is the fountain of life. Right there. In thy light shall we see light. Okay, right there. Tree of life, fountain of life, same thing. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any comments on that? Okay. We're gonna go on to current events. Okay.
Eventually. Dr. Field says it would be an absolute disaster if you gave Black people money for reparations. Here it is.
The first condition is that reparations should be paid to Black Americans whose ancestors were enslaved in the United States. And this would require an expenditure of $14 trillion, which would be distributed evenly across the 40 million Black American descendants of U.S. slavery. That would be approximately $350,000 per person.
If you take $350,000 or $840,000 and you write a check to any group of people, Black, white, poor, homeless, whatever, you give any group of people that much money and say, there you go, best of luck, and you come back in 6 months, they're going to be broke. So whatever reparations are done, that would be an absolute disaster as opposed to guidance and help in creating generational wealth as opposed to income. Right. That would be an absolute disaster.
Don't you dare allow this con artist to persuade you away from the real conversation. He is a con artist, in my humble opinion. Let me tell you why I think Theo cons people. He masquerades as if he is some kind of redeemer by exploiting the problems of everyday human beings and typically not providing the holistic support required to create a generational remedy for the dysfunction. Now, Dr. Field decided to opine on reparations. He's factually incorrect on a few things. Number one, Doc, you owe your entire damn career to a Black woman named Oprah. You need to be careful here. Facilitating the conversation is one thing. Trying to take it over is something else. Professor Doherty had some good points, and he was making a calculation based on a question given directly to him. Not the only way, possibly, to do reparations, but I'm going to break down how actually America is for reparations. Dr. Field likely is for those reparations as well. Here it is. So Dr. Field and some folks on social media dragging him to hell after he said providing cash reparations for slavery will be an absolute disaster During an episode of his talk show on April 18th, the talk show host made the statement after the economist from Duke University, Professor William A. Darty Jr., who said 14 trillion should be distributed evenly to the 40 million Black descendants of slavery in America. It comes out to $350,000 per person, holistically inadequate. The payments would be an attempt to help eliminate the wealth disparity between Black and white Americans, which he said is about 840,000. The professor co-authored the book From Here to Equality, Reparations for Black Americans in the 21st Century. Let me say this about the concept of reparations, because some people get it confused with a handout. You see, reparations means repair. That's what it means, typically in the context of governmental repair. And in order for you to get to that repair, you must acknowledge that something has been broken. Once you acknowledge something has been broken, you then seek to find what or who broke it, because they are responsible to fix it. Well, in this case, we're talking about the United States government. The government broke it. So when there's an argument about, well, this is about white people paying for Black people, hell no. I pay taxes. That means that my tax dollars will go to the same reparations that we're trying to correct. Everybody pays taxes in America, all right, virtually. So you go to this argument of, well, they're not ready for the money. That's basically what Dr. Field is saying. Now, he tried to straighten it up afterwards by saying, oh, hey, I'm talking about any group of people. No, you weren't. That the whole damn show, sir, is about reparations to Black folk, not just reparations. Reparations to Black people was your show. So let's go down the list here. All right. There is a substantial history of the United States government providing financial assets to white citizens when it did not provide similar assets to Black citizens, said the professor. The U.S. government gave 1.5 million white families in the United States 160-acre land grants in the Western Territories under the Homestead Act of 1860. These folks did not know how to even farm. That was a transfer that has resulted in a situation in which 45 million living white Americans are continuing to benefit from those same land patents. It takes Dr. King's speech breaking this down to give you a full appreciation for how we created immediate, instant generational wealth for white families only in the United States of America. And then they gave them money, training. There's more. By 1992, I want to remind you of this. By 1992, the U.S. government eventually dispersed more than 1.6 billion. That's equivalent to 3.67 billion in 2021 in reparations to 82,219 Japanese Americans who have been illegally incarcerated during that saga. Once again, wholly inappropriate as far as the number is concerned. Complete undervalued here for what carnage they created. But it is a reparations package that the government passed. They did not wax poetic about, will the Japanese be able to spend this money the right way before we give it to them? No, that was not the conversation before. There's more. After World War II, Congress created the Indian Claims Commission to pay compensation to any federally recognized tribe or land that had been seized by the United States. Once again, wholly inappropriate for what they did, but still a form of reparations. Government repair through the payment of dividends or even other benefits. Not enough? Well, slave owners received reparations as well. On April 16, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed a bill emancipating enslaved people in Washington, the end of a long struggle. But to ease the slave owners' pain, the District of Columbia Emancipation Act also paid those loyal to the Union up to $300 for every enslaved person freed. That's right, slave owners got reparations. Enslaved African Americans got nothing for their generations of stolen bodies, snatched children, and expropriated labor other than their mere release from legal bondage. There you have it. So next time Dr. Field would like to provide his conclusive way of not giving Black people what they already earned, I want you to keep something in mind, Doc. You know how many families get generational wealth transferred to them and they may not be ready for it? Will there be some level of mismanagement? Of course. Of course. But that's not the prerequisite. It is already their money.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. You know, I just think it's interesting that all these people who do not qualify for these reparations all have something to say about it. Whether they're
Exactly.
jealous that we getting it, that they don't want us to get it, they want to keep us down.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's the crazy part about it. I mean, who care what he believed? He ain't got nothing to do with it. He wasn't there when he wasn't in the cotton fields.
Exactly.
So who cares what you say, what you think, and anybody else that oppose it? Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Just do your job. That's all you gotta do. Right. And so they going crazy on anybody else. So they going crazy on YouTube. Let me play this.
Me clearly, America is not a racist country.
Okay, Dr. Phil is being dragged for a comment he made on reparations. Now, he made a comment that it would be a disaster to give reparations, and then he tried to say to any group, and he meant us, because the show was about Black Americans getting reparations. So he was talking about us, but he tried to throw in there any group. No. And he said you would be broke in 6 months. Well, how come y'all never said this about the Native Americans,
Right.
or the Jews, or any
That's a
group,
racist
the
remark.
Japanese that got money? How come nobody's going to go broke but us? And let me take you down memory lane. Let's not forget one thing. Dr. Phil is a racist, and I wish his show would go off the air. Wasn't it a Black woman by the name of Oprah Winfrey that even put him on the map and got him on TV in the first place? That woman got more money than Dr. Phil. She didn't mismanage her money, and she's a Black person. So maybe Dr. Phil needs to get some lessons from a Black woman to better manage his money. To my recollection, he's not no billionaire. So the show was about Black Americans getting reparations. Now, you know, Black Twitter do what they do, and they're dragging the hell out of Dr. Phil. I'm going to go ahead and show you the video, and I will be back with the rest of my commentary.
Should be paid to Black Americans. The first condition is that reparations should be paid to Black Americans whose ancestors were enslaved in the United States. And this would require an expenditure of $14 trillion, which would be distributed evenly across the 40 million Black American descendants of U.S. slavery. That would be approximately $350,000 per person.
If you take $350,000 or $840,000 and you write a check.
Heavy duty pulling power.
Any group of people, Black, white, poor, homeless, whatever, you give any group of people that much money and say, there you go, best of luck. And you come back in 6 months, they're going to be broke. So whatever reparations are done, that would be an absolute disaster, as opposed to guidance and help in creating generational wealth as opposed to income.
Right.
That would be an absolute disaster.
No one ever.
Whenever the subject of reparations come up and you see the negative reaction, it is racism. If the reaction was not like that for any other group that have received reparations in this country, and you see a whole different reaction when it comes down to Black Americans, aka byword African American, Black American, Negroes, it is racism. Okay, they can sit there and gaslight you and tell you it's not that, it is that. Dr. Phil has definitely showed his colors.
Okay. Any comment?
First of all, look at how much money that they have given out to Ukraine here lately, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's just that they are afraid what we gonna do with the money. They're afraid we're gonna build the businesses that we're gonna come up in the world. That's what they're really afraid of. You may not want to pay it to us, but if it's meant to come to us, it's gonna come to us, no matter what you say.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah, that's all. Like she said, they anybody that jumps up trying to oppose it, they racist. Right. So the evidence and the reasoning for it is right there. It's evident. Okay. Here goes some need to know information.
Home, let's go to Ghana. The Year of Return is an initiative that began in 2019. Ghana has been calling on Africans in the diaspora to return home. Hundreds of especially African Americans have already relocated and are adding value to their communities and the economy. Our reporter Isaac Aleji spoke to some of the returnees in Accra.
Learning to make your own moves. These kids are out of school, but instead of hanging around, they are picking up life lessons, playing chess at this center in Choco, a poor neighborhood on the outskirts of Accra. Patricia Wilkins is the founder of the center. Raised in Queens, New York, 20 years ago, she traded her well-paid job in the fashion industry to settle in Ghana. She says her own experiences growing up inspired her decision to stay and help children here.
Our mission has been consistent, and that is to alleviate poverty, to provide access to education, empower women and children, and we do that through educational support. Our work is very important because we're in a community where school enrollment is very low, school retention is also low.
Wilkins' work has enabled kids, especially girls, access digital skills to empower them for the future. And women from the local community also benefit from her fashion business expertise, giving them extra income for family upkeep. Wilkins' initiative is just one of several African American investments in Ghana.
There are Black Americans in this country that have been here for 50 years that have built bakeries like Bake Shop Classic and has provided jobs and skills to people. There are people who own tour companies. There are people who own schools. So we have a long line of history of Americans that have come back to what we believe is our motherland and come back and invested.
Tanya Safre Ankuma, a trained lawyer, is among the newest African American resettlers in Ghana. She's originally from Mississippi and first came to Ghana on holiday. She fell in love with the continent and then with a Ghanaian to whom she is now married. Tanya is like an ambassador for Ghana. She helps other African Americans visit and settle here.
I'm contacted all the time by people who have questions, who want to know what it's like, who want to know, what the process is for getting a residency and things like that. So, but yes, there's something to be said for belonging. And here we belong. We just blend in like anybody else, you know what I'm saying?
but she has to warn many of those who come to her for advice on relocating about the hard facts of life here.
Here you got to have money. So I tell everybody, when you're coming here, make sure you have a steady source of income to sustain yourself, because there are no safety nets like what we're accustomed to in the West. So really, that's why family is very important here, and being connected to someone. So, you know, that is the social safety net here, is your family, your friends and family.
At least 1,500 African Americans have moved to Ghana since the country launched its Year of Return campaign in 2019. Many more members of the diaspora have made the journey of reconnection, visiting some of the places from where Africans were sent out as slaves. Analysts say the country must build on the success of the campaign to attract more people.
Now, some countries have taken it further, like Ethiopia, diaspora bonds, financing huge projects and so on. So those are things probably Ghana needs to look at, to how to bring the diaspora on board to begin financing projects that are African related.
For Patricia Wilkins, moving to the continent has brought fulfillment, watching the kids and their opportunities grow.
Joining me now from Accra is Diallo Sambri, CEO of the Adinkra Group and author of the book, Be Smart, Ghana Repatriation Guide. Hello, Diallo. Great to have you on the program. So you are an American and traced your ancestry to the Fulani people of modern-day Nigeria and the Ateka people of Gabon, but you mostly live in Ghana. Break down your journey of finding yourself for us.
Why the U.S. Privacy Commission wants this news.
Oh, it's a continual journey. So I'm still finding myself, as you would say. But I'll say that, you know, I grew up in a household where Africa, talking about Africa, learning about Africa as a continent was the norm. So, you know, my first time in Africa was 1988. I might be dating myself a bit. And I had traveled to mostly Francophone countries from learning, you know, traditional West African dance, drum, and cultural arts. And I found myself in Ghana in 2014 for the first time. So I like to say that Ghana is my spiritual home, but I'm a son of all of Africa.
Okay, I mean, from what I've read and know, you seem to have settled in pretty well in Ghana. The question, though, is does everyone manage to integrate as well as you've done? How many give up and return to the US, for example?
Well, I don't have the statistics, right? And I don't have the numbers. I know one of the things that I've seen, and I don't necessarily have the data to back this up for somebody to challenge it, is that I feel like I may have seen more, and I hate the word failure, but more failure stories than success stories. And I think that has to do with cultural orientation, right? Ghana is a place that's very proud of its culture, that has a lot of different cultures, and cultural norms here are interweaved into everything, into business, into everyday life. So it's like everybody here is very welcoming. Everybody here is very polite and will greet you. But once you move here, spend more time here, you'll find that it's not as simple as just, oh, you know, going to the DMV, let's say if I was in Washington, D.C. to renew my license, like, you know, it's very much a place that's still developing with regards to its processing. So if you're not from here, if you haven't had an appropriate cultural orientation, and if you haven't spent enough time just kind of learning the lay of the land, I think you're going to have more challenges than the average person who may have spent time learning that, if that makes sense, right?
Okay.
Okay, so we see right here, I think he said some close to 2,000 people since 2019, since the year return. But look at the impact just on those 2,000 people. So you go back to what I was saying, when the migration already started, you know, the exodus already started. But just imagine when a larger group get there, the impact that they're going to have on their country, and Russia and China already know that. And like I said, as we speak, they preparing a way for us to get up out of here. So when it happened, don't say you wasn't told, okay? Because this is gonna go down. Any comments? Okay. So I'm gonna open it up for some questions and comments. Anybody have any questions or comments about this morning or anything you heard during the week you came across? You want to talk about it? No questions or comments? Okay. Got one more video. We'll go into the discussion.
Welcome to Asian Quick Take. I am Jacob. According to the latest report on international capital flows released by the U.S. Treasury Department, on April 17th EST, at least 22 countries worldwide sold off U.S. Treasuries in February. Among them are China, Japan, the United Kingdom, Belgium, Switzerland, Ireland, Canada, India, France, Germany, the Netherlands, the United Arab Emirates, Australia, Israel, Iraq, Italy, Poland, Kuwait, Sweden, Colombia, the Bahamas, and Vietnam. In February, Japan, one of the largest holders of U.S. debt, sold $22.6 billion of U.S. Treasuries, reducing its position to $1.0818 trillion. Moreover, 6 of the G7 countries, namely Japan, the UK, Canada, France, Germany, and Italy, also collectively sold U.S. Treasuries in February. In addition to Japan, the UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Australia, and Israel also sold $3.7 billion and $4.1 billion of U.S. Treasuries, respectively. Recently, Israel has been increasing its foreign exchange reserves in non-dollar currencies, such as the yuan, which some analysts believe may be an attempt to sell off the dollar. Israel's selling behavior may encourage other U.S. allies to also sell U.S. Treasuries, especially given the U.S. debt ceiling stalemate. Japan, Israel, and other traditional U.S. allies are continuing to contribute to the collapse of U.S. Treasuries. In a speech at the New York Stock Exchange on April 17th, U.S. House Speaker McCarthy announced that the House would vote to extend the U.S. debt ceiling, subject to new spending restrictions attached.
Okay, so like I said, we're looking at this. I'm showing you the migration already started, right? And then we see right here, as the migration in this event pick up speed, you see America slowly going down. Okay, which is the hand of the Most High. Okay. Okay, so I was gonna deal with this question right here. I didn't see it, but it says, what is Ghana's belief? Okay. What is Ghana's belief? I have yet to hear them speak of. So they Christians. They still caught up in, they're awakening now in certain places, but they still caught up with Christianity and Jesus Christ. Tied with the Catholic Church. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go. The topic in the class is I'm gonna go to the Book of Jubilees, but it's pertaining to Bethel. And for those that don't know what Bethel is, that's the portal that's in the land of Israel where Jacob laid his head down on the stone and he saw the angels coming up and down the ladder. Okay, so let's look at that. I'm gonna read that, then we go to. There's some more to it than what they gave us in King James. So it says, I'm in Genesis 28, starting at verse 10. Genesis 28, starting at verse 10. Okay. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. Notice this is where Abraham started from, Haran, right? And he lit upon a certain place, tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took the stones of that place, put them for pillows, and to lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set on the earth, and the top of it reached unto heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascended and descended upon it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham, thy father, and the God of Isaac, and the land wherein thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. Right? So this is a portal. This is where these angels coming in at. And like I was saying before, if you go back to Mount Hermon, the book of Enoch, 200 angels came in through the same portal, and then they went to Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon in that same region. And they made a pact there on Mount Hermon to go to the land of Egypt and take wives. That's in Genesis chapter 6. It don't tell you that in Genesis chapter 6, but it tells you that in the book of Enoch, how they came through that portal right here. But I want to show you something else before I go to Jubilees. Notice right here it says, verse 12, Jacob dreamed a dream, and behold, a ladder was set on the earth, and the top reached unto heaven, and behold, the angels of God ascended and descended. Well, let's go to Genesis chapter 11. Okay, let's look at it. Get my other Bible. Okay, Genesis chapter 11. We see right here in Genesis chapter 11, that's what Nimrod was trying to duplicate. It says, chapter 11, a Tower of Babel, and the whole earth was one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had a brick for stone and lime for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower whose top, see that? The ladder reached to heaven, whose top reached to heaven. Same thing in Bethel. And let us make us a name, and lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. And then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children had built. So if you go to the book of Jasher, he's going to tell you they ascended. They when they take those bricks they was building that tower, they was ascend with that brick up all the way up and all the way back down. Same thing the angels was doing. So Nimrod knew that, and that's why he picked that particular place. So he trying to do the same. He trying to build the same thing that was going on in Bethel. He trying to duplicate or emulate a portal. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go to Jubilees, and we're gonna pick up a more in-depth story of what's going on with this portal. So it says, okay, I'm gonna start in it looks like it's chapter 31, and I'm in verse 26, starting at verse 26. And in the morning, Jacob told his father Isaac the value which he had vowed, the vow which he had vowed to the Lord, and the vision which he had seen, and that he had built an altar, and that everything was ready for the sacrifice to be made before the Lord, as he had vowed, and that he had come to set him on an ass. Notice, check it out, to set him on an ass. So what you're gonna gather from this is this ain't nothing new. The royals always rode on ass. David rode on ass when he came up to Mount of Olives. But we reading over there. It says, and Isaac said unto Jacob, his son, I am not able to go with thee, for I am old and not able to bear the weight. Go, my son, in peace, for I am 160 years old this day. I am no longer able to journey. Set thy mother, so this Rebecca. He's going to send Rebecca with Jacob to Bethel, to this portal, where this portal is. So he says, set thy mother on an ass. See that? There we go again. Set thy mother on an ass, and let her go with thee, And so let's look at that. Go to Joseph and Mary. Joseph got Mary on the ass. That's where all this coming from, right? So he says, and let her go with thee. And I know, my son, that thou hast come on my account, and may this day be blessed. May this day be blessed on which thou hast seen me alive, and I also have seen thee, my son. May thou prosper and fulfill the vow which thou hast vowed, and put not off thy vow, for thou wilt be called to account as touching the vow. Now therefore make haste to perform it, and may he be pleased, who have made all things, to whom thou hast vowed the vow. And he said to Rebekah, go with Jacob, thy son. And Rebekah went with Jacob, her son, and Deborah with her, and they came to Bethel. And Jacob remembered the prayer with which his father had blessed him and his two sons, Levi and Judah. And he rejoiced and blessed the Lord of his fathers, Abraham and Isaac. And he said, now I know that I have an eternal hope, and my sons also before the God of all. And thus it is ordained concerning the two. And they recorded it as an eternal testimony unto them on the heavenly tablets, how Jacob blessed them. Okay. Then it says, this is chapter 32. This is Levi dreams at Bethel. He said, we don't know this. Levi dreamed at Bethel. He is appointed to priesthood. Jacob celebrates the Feast of Tabernacles and offered tithes and institutes the tithe. And he abode there that night at Bethel. And Levi dreamed that they had ordained and made him the priest of the Most High God, him and his sons forever. And he awoke from his sleep and blessed the Lord. And Jacob rose early in the morning on the 14th day of this month, and he gave a tithe of all that came with him, both of men and cattle, both of gold and every vessel and garments. Yea, he gave tithes to all. And in those days, Rachel became pregnant with her son Benjamin. And Jacob counted his sons from him upward, and Levi fell to the portion of the Lord. And his father clothed him in the garment of priesthood and filled his hands. And on the 15th of this month, he brought to the altar 14 oxen from among the cattle, and 28 rams, and 49 sheep, 7 lambs, and 21 kids of goats, as a burnt offering on the altar of sacrifice, well pleasing for an offering on the altar of sacrifice, well pleasing for a sweet savor before God. This was his offering in consequence of the vow which he had vowed that he would give a tithe with a tenth with their fruit offerings and their drink offerings. And when the fire had consumed it, he burnt incense on the fire over the fire. And for a thanks offering, 2 oxen, 4 rams, and 4 sheep, 4 he goats, and 2 sheep of a year old, and 2 kids of goats. And thus he did daily for 7 days. And he and all his sons and his men were eating this with joy there during 7 days, and blessing and thanking the Lord, who had delivered him out of all his tribulations and had given him his vow. So let's shine a light on this. So we see right here, right, with the understanding that these Gentiles, Edomites, gave us, we assume that they don't see the Lord. They don't see the Lord. They go into Bethel and they just sacrificing, but they're not dealing with him. They don't see him. It's nothing personal about it. It just it's like we doing now. We believing on the Lord, but we don't see him encountering. So let's go to chapter 11 of chapter 18 and start to shine light on this. So we saw when Jacob was there. He dreamed a dream. He saw the Lord of hosts. He saw the angels ascending, descending, and the Lord of hosts. Lord of hosts running this portal. Not Yahweh, but the Lord of hosts is at the top of the portal, regulating these angels, right? So let's look at it. I'm in Genesis chapter 18. And it says, these three men came to Abraham, right? I'm going to read it. The Lord appeared unto Abraham. This is the Lord, same one that's at the top of the portal in Bethel. The Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. So you see them. They there. They there. De facto. It ain't no imagination. So he there. 2 of these angels and the Lord of hosts, Michael. So he says, and he said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. And let a little water, I pray thee, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. So you washing his feet. So it's not some kind of apprehension or apparition or whatever. He's seeing him, and he know him. He already appeared to him before. So he washed his feet, because he said, you've been walking, and he washed your feet. This is where they get the JC, washing JC feet from. So he says in 5, and I will fetch a morsel of bread. See that? Comfort ye your hearts. After this ye shall pass on, for therefore ye come to your servant. And they said, do so, as thou hast said. Now here you go right here. And Abraham hastened into the tent under Sarah, and said, make ready quickly 3 meat morsels of fine meal, knead it, make cakes upon the heap. And Abraham ran into the herd, fetched the calf tender and good, and gave it unto the young man, this Isaac, and he hastened to dress it. He took butter, milk, and a calf, which he had dressed, and set it before them. He set it before these 3 angels. And he stood by them under the tree, and they ate. So it ain't some kind of figment of imagination. Abraham sitting there eating with them. He came to visit Abraham, and they sitting there eating. So let's go back to Jubilees, right? And pick it up. It says, verse 7, and he said, all his sons and his men were eating this with joy there during the 7 days, and blessing and thanking the Lord. He there, just like in Genesis 18. And that's my point. So when they called him, they're dealing with him on, they're dealing with him. So when they called him out of these 13 captivities, he came. So we not getting no response now, because we ain't calling him. We calling this character that he gave us. And none of us ain't dealt with him. He hid his face from us. Okay? So anyway, he says, verse 7, and he said, he and all his sons and his men were eating this with joy there during the 7 days, and blessing and thanking the Lord, who had delivered him out of all his tribulations and had given him his vow. And he tied up all the clean animals and made a burnt sacrifice, but the unclean animals he gave not to Levi his son, and he gave him all the souls of men. And Levi discharged the priestly office at Bethel before Jacob his father, in the presence of his 10 brothers, and he was a priest there. And Jacob gave his vow. Thus he tithed again, and tithed to the Lord, and sacrificed it, and it became holy unto him. And for this reason is ordained on the heavenly tablets as a law for the tithing again, the tithe to eat before the Lord from year to year, in a place where it is chosen that his name shall be dwelled. And to this law there is no limit of days forever. This ordinance is written that it may be fulfilled from year to year in eating the second tithe before the Lord, in the place where it has been chosen, and nothing shall remain over from it from year to year following. So we see what the deal was right here. When they made this tithe, they was do this every year, right? So guess what? Lord Hosts got tired of it. That's what he's telling Daniel. in the book of Daniel is in a nation that came to a fool. He tired of playing around with Israel. So he cut this off. That's what it means by hiding himself, hiding his face from us. So all this time in the past, we ain't dealing with him. Our forefathers was coming from year to year, dealing with him. He was there, just like he was there in Genesis 18. So he cut him off. So we know right here, just from this understanding right here, it ain't JC. We can see that right here. So he says, let's go back. It says, Jacob gave his vow, thus he tied again the tithe to the Lord and sacrificed it, and it became holy unto him. And for this reason it is ordained on the heavenly tablets as a law for the tithing again, the tithe to eat before the Lord from year to year in the place where it is chosen that his name shall be dwelled. So we know temple wasn't built right here, but after they built the temple, that's where the place was. On year to year, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh coming in the temple. The priests and Levites and these prophets dealing with him, they see him. So, like I said, when they kept sinning against him, he had Nebuchadnezzar or Antioch Epiphanes tear down. He tore that temple down. They don't have no place for him to come no more. He don't want to deal with them no more. That's how he hid his face. Took our language. That's why we're in the predicament we're in. Okay? So, 11. This ordinance is written that it may be fulfilled from year to year in eating the second tithe before the Lord in the place where it has been chosen, and nothing shall remain over from it from year to year following. For in its year shall the seed be eaten till the days of the gathering of the seed gathering of the seed of the year, and the wine till the days of the wine, and the oil till the days of its season, and all that is left thereof, and becometh old, let it be regarded as polluted, and let it be burnt with fire, for it is unclean. And thus let them eat it together in the sanctuary, and let them not suffer it to become old. And all the tithes of the oxen and the sheep shall be holy unto the Lord, and shall belong to his priests, which they will eat before him. See that? Before him from year to year. For thus it is ordained and engraved regarding the tithe of the heavenly tablets, right? So we're in chapter 35, right? And it says Jacob vision. He celebrates the 8th day of tabernacles, the birth of Benjamin and the death of Rachel. And on the following night, on the 22nd day of this month, Jacob resolved to build that place and to surround the court with a wall, and to sanctify it and make it holy forever for himself and his children after him. And the Lord appeared to him. See that? The Lord appeared to him by night and blessed him and said unto him, thy name shall not be called Jacob, but Israel shall thy name be named. And he said unto him again, I am the Lord who created the heavens and the earth, and I shall increase thee and multiply thee exceedingly, and kings will come forth from thee, and they will judge everywhere. Okay, let me see. And they will judge everywhere, whenever the foot of the soles of men have trodden. And I shall give to thy seed all the earth, which is under heaven, and they will judge all the nations according to their desires. And after that, they will get possessions of the whole earth and inherit it forever. And he finished speaking with him, and he went up. See that? And he went up from him. And Jacob looked till he had ascended into heaven. Sound familiar? Same with JC, right? It says, and he saw in the vision of the night, and behold, an angel descended from heaven with 7 tablets in his hand, and he gave them to Jacob, and he read them and knew all that was written therein, which would befall him from his sons throughout all the ages. And he showed him all that was written on the tablets. And he said unto him, do not build this place, and do not make it an eternal sanctuary, and do not dwell here, for this is not the place. Go to the house of Abraham thy father, and dwell with Isaac thy father until the day of thy death, of thy father. For in Egypt thou wilt die in peace, and in this land thou wilt be buried with honor in the sepulchre of thy fathers, with Abraham and Isaac. So let's look at this. So what happened was Jacob went to Bethel, right? And he found a stone there, and he used that stone as a pillow to lay his head on. Well, guess what? Abraham had came there before him, and Abraham had used the same stone and sacrificed to the Lord. So that stone had anointing on it. So when he laid down, put his head on it, and went to sleep, that's when he dreamed the dream. So Jacob was bedazzled. He caught fire. So he wanted to build a building there where that place was at, right? So it says right here, he told him no, right? And he showed him all that was written in the tablets, and he said unto him, do not build this place. See that? Because what? Solomon gonna come and build a temple. There's another place he's gonna meet them at, right? So it says, do not build this place, and do not make it an eternal sanctuary, and do not dwell here, for this is not the place, right? Go to the house of Abraham thy father, and dwell with Isaac thy father until the day of thy death of thy father. For in Egypt, now here go the prophecy I told you about in Genesis chapter 15, the 400 years, right here. For in the Egypt thou will die in peace. See that? He's telling you right here, it's not America. This going hand in hand with what we already know. He says, for in Egypt thou will die in peace, and in this land thou will be buried with honor in the sepulchre of thy fathers with Abraham and Isaac. And we know Joseph took them out of Egypt when the Pharaoh gave Jacob permission to take Joseph's body to the sepulchre right here. So he's telling you the same thing that Abraham said in Jasher, that about the 400 years. It's prophesying about Egypt, right? Says, fear not, for as thou hast seen and read it, thus will it be all be. And do thou write down everything as thou hast seen and read. And Jacob said, Lord, how can I remember all that I have read and seen? And he said unto him, I will bring all things to thy remembrance. And he went up from him, and he awoke him from his sleep. And he remembered everything which he had read and seen, and he wrote down all the words which he had read and seen. So this is this big right here. So you got people that start coming into this understanding, and they listening, and they saying, well, how in the world, where this brother get all this from? Where these people, where they getting all this from? And you look at it saying, it's, you can't deal with it, you can't handle it. So, but look how the Most High works. He says, Jacob worried about the same thing. He said, fear not, for as thou hast seen and read it, thus will it be. And do thou write down everything as thou hast seen and read. And Jacob said, Lord, how can I remember all that I have read and seen? Watch this. And he said unto him, I will bring all this back to your remembrance. So that's what's going on Prophets of Awakening. You ain't got to say nothing. Most High gonna bring it forth when it's time for it to come out, be regurgitated. He gonna bring it out. You fumbling around worrying about it. All he gonna do is you gonna hear it, and then you may not think you can remember it, but when the time comes, he gonna regurgitate it. You ain't gotta do nothing. So anyway, let's look at it. It says, and he said unto him, I will bring all these things that I remember. See that? He gonna do it. I will bring all these things to your remembrance. And he went up from him, and he awoke in his sleep, and he remembered everything which he had read and seen, and he wrote it down, all the words which he had read and seen. And he celebrated there yet another day, and he sacrificed therein according to all that he sacrificed on the former days, and he called the name addition, for this day was added. And the former days he called feast. And thus it was manifested that it should be, and it is written on the heavenly tablets, wherefore it was revealed to him that he should celebrate it and add it to the 7 days of the feast. And his name was called the addition, because that it was recorded among the days of the feast days, according to the number of the days of the year. And in the night, on the 23rd of this month, Deborah, Rebecca's nurse, died, and they buried her beneath the city under the oak of the river. And he called the name of this place the River of Deborah, the oak of mourning of Deborah. And Rebecca went to return to her house to his father Isaac, and Jacob sent for her hand rams and sheep and he goats, and she should prepare a meal for his father, such as he desired. And he went after his mother till he came to the land of Kibron, I can't say that, and he dwelt there. And Rachel bore a son in the night and called his name. And called his name Son of My Sorrows, for she suffered in giving him birth. But his father called his name Benjamin. On the 11th of the eighth month, in the first of the 6 weeks of this jubilee, and Rachel died there, and she was buried in the land of Ephraim, and the same is Bethlehem. And Jacob built a pillar on the grave of Rachel on the road above her grave. Okay, so that's my point. I was trying to show you how this place, what we see in Genesis, Bethel, there's a whole lot more going on. There's a whole lot more attributed to that, but they only give us what they want because, like I said, they're trying to lead you to the New Testament. So they're giving you as much information, as the least amount of information they can to further their agenda. But we see right here in Jubilees, there's a hell of a lot more going on with the Bethel than what they're telling us. Like I was saying before, those 200 angels came in through Bethel, and from Bethel they went to Mount Hermon. So with that being said, anybody got any comments? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So nobody have no comments. I'm gonna say I enjoyed the Sabbath this morning, and I enjoyed this conversation tonight. We don't do nothing on Sunday. I'll see everybody on Tuesday for our advanced Bible study at 8 o'clock. So we say shalom to everybody. I'll see y'all Tuesday night.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.